Hello, I am Remo Yes Man, and today I would like to talk about Unity because, as you all should know by now, Unity is raising their prices on game developers. And I know some of you, as gamers, may not care about the engine that your game is developed on, but you really should, because if you're any kind of gamer at all, I'm sure you've played a slew of games developed on the Unity engine, so this is a pretty big deal. So if you don't know what Unity is one of the most popular game development engines that's currently out right now. Unity is a cross-platform game development engine developed by Unity Technologies, and some of the most popular games to date were developed on the Unity engine. Games that include but aren't limited to Pokemon Go, Beat Saber, Cuphead, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Hollow Knight. Maybe you heard of those games, as well as a bunch of other games which I'm not going to mention at the moment. So this article from The Verge states that popular video game engine Unity is making big changes to its pricing structure that's causing confusion and anger amongst developers. On Tuesday, Unity announced that on January 1st, 2024, it would be implementing a pay-per-download pricing scheme that would charge developers a flat fee anytime a game using Unity software is installed. So basically, Unity is doing just like Sony did. Unity is raising their prices, but unlike Sony, who essentially raised prices on their consumer base, which is primarily gamers, Unity is essentially raising the prices on their consumer base, which is primarily game developers. So this article from The Verge goes on to state, "We are implementing a Unity runtime fee that is based upon each time a qualifying game is downloaded by an end user," the company shared on its blog. "We chose this because each time a game is downloaded, the Unity runtime is also installed. Also, we believe that an initial install-based fee allows creators to keep the ongoing financial gains from player engagement, unlike a revenue share." So this is the new pricing structure that Unity announced. And if you don't understand the new income threshold bullshit, basically what it means is after a developer makes $200,000 in revenue, they will be charged 20 cents per install. And I know 200K may sound like a lot, but that doesn't take into account what game developers already spent on game development. And if you know anything about game development, you know that a lot of these games can cost anywhere from a couple $100,000 to a couple million to make, and that's just on the lower end of the spectrum. So this is the shit they're doing right here. They want to keep revenue high, so they've decided to raise prices on their already existing consumer base. And I understand that sometimes companies have to raise prices, but in game development in particular, it would be nice if they announced the price change and gave them a full year to complete whatever projects they're working on and transition if they really don't want to work with the new pricing structure. But obviously they don't want to do that because they know just as well as gamers know that development is a long, strenuous process. A lot of these games take years and years to develop. So by announcing the price hike just a couple months before implementation, they trap a lot of developers in being caught in the new pricing structure. So basically, a lot of developers are going to be forced to either pay the new pricing structure or have their project stuck in limbo. And 200,000 doesn't sound like a lot when you're dealing with a AAA game, but most of these guys that are using the Unity engine aren't necessarily AAA game developers. most of these guys are just small indie devs. So when you're talking about 20 cent per download, they're really gonna feel that. And to put things into perspective, a lot of times when a game is offered on one of these free services like the Epic Game Store or PlayStation Plus or Game Pass, you see that game downloaded millions of times. But let's just say you put your game on one of these free game services and you've reached that 200K threshold, and now you have to pay Unity 20 cent per download. If your game is downloaded 500,000 times, you owe Unity $100,000. So this is the shady shit these greedy fucks are doing. The corporate suits at Unity are literally just trying to grease their palm, as before they announced this whole disaster and before Unity stock took a fucking nosedive, you seen most of the CEOs, if not all of them, doing a fuck ton of insider trading. And if you don't know, insider trading is extremely illegal, but a lot of times people don't prosecute insider trading for the simple fact that it's the same shit that a lot of our politicians like to engage in. So all these greedy ass shady corporate suits right here did a fuck ton of insider trading before the stock took a nosedive so they could essentially double dip. And this one dude right here is really egregious, because this dude right here, he sold more than just a few $1 million worth of stock, which most of the CEOs did. This dude actually sold $20 million worth of his Unity stock, and I would assume he pocketed most of that money. And upon further inspection of this guy, it would turns out that this dude is the CEO of IronSource. Now, what is IronSource, you may ask? Well, IronSource is a partner of Unity that specializes in providing tools for game developers and application developers, including analytics, user monetization, conversion, acquisition, and optimization for all devices. So IronSource is already partnered with Unity, but amidst a sea of angry game developers, they tried to damage control by stating that you can circumvent some of these fees that will be imposed by using IronSource. So what that essentially means is, that means these motherfuckers get to double and triple dip if you agree to use IronSource, because IronSource is already their own monetization software. Like, this shit is insane. It's just illegal shit upon illegal shit upon illegal shit. Like, why isn't the FCC investigating these motherfuckers? I don't know. Now, as you guys can all imagine, none of this has gone over well with game developers. We have a lot of game developers in the industry that's swearing off the Unity engine altogether, as well as a lot of game developers that have found themselves in like a real pickle, because in order to switch to a new engine, they would have to acquire a totally new skill set to develop their game in that engine. So their project is essentially stuck in limbo at this point, and they're just waiting for further clarification, or they're waiting to see if Unity will do a walkback, while other game developers like Cult of the Lamb developer says that they'll just delete their game altogether come January 1st. And probably the most effective tactic that I've seen game developers engaging in is completely turning off IronSource monetization altogether. Because when you turn off IronSource monetization, you directly hit Unity in their pocket. But this is also a double-edged sword, because the unfortunate side effect of this is it also hurts game developers by turning off that monetization. But at a certain point, man, you have to really draw a line in the sand, because the real reason why we should all be fighting against this, not just game developers, is because if game developers were to lay down and take this, and Unity implements this crazy monetization scheme where they impose further fees on developers, those fees are going to trickle down to the consumer. So most likely at some point, if these fees were imposed, you'll start seeing a lot more shitty monetization in your favorite video game. And not just that, the bigger part of this is if Unity were to do this and everybody were to just lie down and take it, then what's to stop all the other game engines from implementing this exact same cost structure? Listen, this Unity price increase is not gonna be good for game developers. And if everybody lets this shit flies, it sure as hell is not gonna be good for you as the gamer. Thank you guys so much. This is Remo Yes Man, signing out. Peace.